Hello, YouTube. Here's my boy.
Press the applications bell and the subscribe button in below.
And thank you.
And thank you.
Hello, everybody. uh, didn't see if I had it on or not. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe, like, and share. Well, today I want to talk about surplus vehicles. Now, those that are familiar about living here in the Philippines are familiar with surplus vehicles. Now, if you decide that that's something you want, the good part about it is parts availability. You generally can get those parts fairly easy, and most of the time they're affordable. It depends on your location. I usually have to order mine from Cebu, right, and have them delivered here. And to be honest with you, the parts I've been getting are generally 50% cheaper than what I can buy local. That's another plus. Now, if you decide to buy one of those vehicles, or it be one of those little vans or the pickup, it depends on the area you live where you decide on two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. And also, on your driving experience, what you prefer in manual transmission or automatic. Now, these little vehicles are equipped with a 3-cylinder 660cc engine. The manual version, just regular fuel-injected engine, they do fairly well. And their fuel economy is fairly well, especially in the two-wheel drive. Now, with the four-wheel drive, you got the added weight, and it's going to get a little less fuel mileage. Now, I bought the van version. It's a DA64B. Now, they do make an upgrade model. I'm trying to remember. It's the Every, and it's more plush. It's got more features. Now, I got the V, which I enjoy mine. Mine's got all the extras. It's got the power windows, air conditioning. It don't have tilt and cruise, which you don't need here. You ain't gonna never use it. Now, there are pros and cons about buying these vehicles. Now, if you're buying one used, um, I'm kind of negative about that, unless you're buying it from another expat. The reason I say that because in most cases, if it's owned by Filipinos, now it's not all cases, but in most cases, they don't maintain them. They wait till it breaks to fix. And if it's got oil in it, it's good. Oh, you mean you have to change it? But anyway, my experience personally, I want to explain to you. Mine was a fresh rebuild and assembled by a reliable assembler. That's another key factor. Do a little background check on who's putting the vehicle together and how many they've sold, and see if they stand up to what they say they will do before you make that purchase. Now, they're fairly affordable compared to new vehicles. Of course, these vehicles are used. They're from Japan, and they have to be converted from right-hand to left-hand drive. And a good assembler does an excellent job on this. That's another factor you got to take into consideration. And, when they're stripped down, the entire vehicle gets a good paint job inside and out. So that helps prevent any rust or that nature of it. Now, once these vehicles are assembled, and a good assembler does test drive them and so forth, and they will make minor repairs. The reason I said minor, they want to try to keep that bottom line profit. And what I suggest, get the best deal you possibly can, and set aside, somewhere between $500-$600 or 25 to 30,000 pesos, because you more likely will need it. Now, my personal experience, I bought from a reliable supplier, assembler, they call it. And my first 30 days, I got everything pretty well paid for. I had a turbo issue. Now, mine's an automatic with a turbo. Now, the advantage of that is you get a 4-speed transmission, which increases your fuel mileage, and you get the additional power. Where I live, we are all the time driving in the mountains and so forth. It makes a huge difference. So that's my take on that. So I had to have the turbo replaced, in which they covered. And they also covered my front ball joints. They wore out. Now, these little vehicles generally have anywhere between 150 to 200,000 kilometers on them, or it may even cost them or more. And that's the life expectancy of some of the wear items, like bearings, front wheel bearings, ball joints, so forth, tie rod ends, things of that nature. Now, I've not had any major items. It's just those little things that has to be taken care of. Now, I did replace the front suspension. I put new struts and springs, which was very affordable. I bought delivered with the stabilizer links. I think around 6,000 pesos, $120, $30, something like that, for all of it. And it cost me another $20 to have it installed. That's cheap. And so I got practically a brand new front end under mine, because the wheel bearings have been replaced. Now, those were rather expensive because they're pressed in and they're a large bearing. Suzuki doesn't use a double bearing. It's a single wide bearing, and it's expensive. They have to be pressed in and out too. So roughly $50 a wheel. There's two of them, so it's $100. I thought that was kind of expensive. It might not be. And I had to replace the front drive line. It took me a while to figure out what the problem was. I had a slight vibration, just enough to be noticeable. That front drive line has a carrier bearing, as I'll call it. They call it something differently. I'm trying to remember. And I had a cross joint. I call it the U joint. That was bad. But with that carrier bearing, it was right up next to the carrier bearing. It didn't appear to be bad. I've had it on a rack many times, checking everything out, trying to figure out what this vibration was. That's one reason I changed from wheel bearings. I thought it might have been those. So, until it completely failed, I didn't know. And it took out the carrier bearing, which cannot be replaced. You have to buy another assembly, front drive line assembly. I drove it for a week or so with just rear wheel drive. Fortunately, it was during the dry season, and I can get in and out of my driveway. It will operate normally without the front drive line, other than not having front wheel pulling. I couldn't find a new drive line. I wanted to purchase brand new, which I knew would be rather expensive, but I knew I'd never have to deal with it again. So I ended up buying what they call surplus parts, and I found one from a reliable source in Cebu again, and they sent it to me, and I installed it, and it's been fine since. Now, overall, that's basically the only thing I've done besides general routine maintenance, changing oil and air filters and things of that nature. Now, I did change the transmission fluid when I first got it 2 times, because I didn't know what the last time it had been changed. I changed it the first time since you can't drain the torque converter, and I drove it a few thousand kilometers until the next oil change. And I changed it again. And I've kept a periodic check on it since that's been done. and the transmission fluid is super clean. That's the key. Of course, I'm not having any shift problems with the transmission or anything like that. It's working perfectly. And oil changes, I've been ordering my oil and filter online because it's a third of the price. I can pick it up in local. Again, of course, I use fully synthetic oil. Now, I did discover something differently on these units. A non-turbo unit, generally you'll find that in two-wheel drive only. It has a 3-speed transmission plus a lower compression ratio. I think it's a 9.5 to 1, if I remember correctly. And the turbo unit is 10.5 to 1. So you will, if you want maximum performance, you will have to use premium fuel. Here it's 95 octane. That's what I run in mine, and it's been trouble-free, as smooth as it can be. That's one of the differences you find between a turbo unit and a regular fuel injected unit. There is a pretty good difference in power too. I remember my little surplus truck I had, it was carbureted. And it done a great job, even though it was only 38 horsepower. It done a fantastic job, and it was 4-wheel drive. And it's still going strong. I sold it to a good friend of mine, and they've been enjoying it with no issues. So, I like that. Now, making the decision to buy one of these is up to you. All I can do is relay my experience. Now, I didn't want brand new for several reasons. Any warranty work I needed to do with a new vehicle, I'd have a minimum of 3.5 to 4 hour drive one way. And also, in order to maintain the warranty, they recommend you have to have it serviced at the dealership. So you're going to pay a lot more for your service, oil changes. And I'm a service. I keep mine religiously. My oil change changed. And again, I use synthetic oil too. And I do change the filter every time. And I don't abuse my vehicle. I try to drive it at moderate speeds. Open highway, I'll cruise. I've noticed I get the best fuel mileage between 70 and 80 kph or kilometers per hour. And I can get it up to 16 kilometers per liter. That's pretty good. That's close to, of course, that's on the open road, flat, pretty well flat. Now, if you get into the mountain areas and you're city driving like I do here 90% of the time, you're looking at about 10 kilometers, 11 per liter. But still, that's pretty good. The little trucks, my experience with the one I had, about the same. But you got to remember now, it was lighter and a whole lot less power too. But that's my take on the surplus. Now, new has its advantages if you're living in a city or whatever, and you're not on sugarcane roads like me. It does have its advantages. You generally won't have any problems. But also, I look at it a little differently too. A new vehicle kind of gives the impression that you're wealthy and makes you a target. And I don't want that impression. And if you don't have cash to pay for one, interest rates is pretty rough. It's not like in the United States, where you can get rates under the double figure. So that's another thing too. Of course, some expats have the ability to getting loans from the home country and so forth. That's not, that's another issue too. It's something you can do. But personally, I like the no payment deal. And I was able to save enough money during the time I drove my little truck to purchase this new surplus. It's not new, but to us it's new. Like I said, there are advantages and disadvantages. Now, the disadvantage with my little van over the little pickup is ground clearance. I have to be extra careful because this little van is pretty close to the ground. I'm not being able to find a lift kit for it at this time. But my understanding is it is available in Japan. But finding a source to get it is another question. I've noticed that some places have actually got a hold of these lift kits. I've seen them on YouTube. And so far I've not been able to get the source, and they don't really want to let their secret out. So, but anyway, folks, I thought I'd do a little video on surplus vehicles versus the new cars and so forth. New it's a fantastic way to go if it's in your budget. If you live in city life and you're a dealership, if you're within 30 minutes to an hour, probably the best route to go. If you're out here in the boonies like I am, I can actually recommend the surplus vehicle. And like I said, put a little money aside because you want to do the general maintenance items that wasn't done because the people own them in Japan knew they was getting ready to part with it, so they didn't follow up on it, replace like the balls and stuff like that. Excuse me. Anyway, folks, hope you enjoyed, and hope my little input helps you out a little bit. And I really appreciate you watching. My subscribers, thank you so very much. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And thanks again.